Nick Reynolds I've known for several years. The first time I met him was actually at his wedding. And I'm very close friends with his father-in-law, and so I knew his wife Alana long before he met her. I knew her since she was a baby, literally. Joe and I have known each other for 50 years. A long time. And at Nick's wedding, which was the first time I met him, also coincidentally there was my high school football coach. Not the head coach, but he was backfield coach. I was a running back in high school. And his name was Jim Smith. Great guy. Really loved the guy. And so I was shocked to see him there. Did not realize that I knew Coach Smith had gone on to Marple Newtown High School to coach, and he became the head coach there. But I didn't know that Nick had played football for Coach Smith, and that fact came out as we chatted and caught up through the years. And somebody else came by, and Coach Smith said, "Hey, this is Donnie Frieda. This was the best running back that I ever coached." And I said, "Wait a minute, running back? I mean, how about football player? I mean, you know, not just running back." He said, "No." He said, "The best football player I ever coached was Nick Reynolds." Where's this guy again? So, all right, well, so that impressed me because I have a lot of respect for Coach Smith, and that really, well, kind of pissed me off, actually, but I did gain some respect for Nick. And then subsequently got to know him and work with him. Some of you heard me talk about solar energy and an investment that I made there and some of the activity with utility consulting. And Nick works for a utility consulting firm. He's a vice president for the company, works full-time, has a wife and 2 children, so it's not like he's got a lot of extra spare time. But called me some few weeks ago and said, "Hey, you know, I'd like to learn more about Quest and what you're doing." Came over, saw the knives, saw Rastelli's, said, "I want to do it." All right. And some of you, anybody here was in training with Nick? Anyone? Okay, Rohan was, right. So he told me he was going to break the record. And I said, "Which record?" And he said, "All of them." I said, "All of them?" He said, "All of them." So, and of course, Mike DeFeeti had owned several of those records. So did Rich Romanelli. So did Aaron. Had their names at the top of those lists. There's, I guess, 5 or 6 or 7 different records. So, boom, 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 boom. Actually, the only one that didn't fall was the calendar month, because Nick started the last few days of February. So half of his sales were in February and half were in March. So there's one left for you to break. I'm sure that won't take long. But I've come to, you know, love this guy like a younger brother. Or I guess I should say son, since he's actually younger than my sons. But at any rate, I've asked him to talk with you all about attitude and how the things that he learned in sports can also be applied to our business. So he's the holder of almost all the records in the company. Including now the record for the largest part-time check, almost $1,000 bucks. Do you want to hear what this guy has to say? I would think you would. Let's bring him up, Nick Reynolds. He apologized. That was nice. Good to see you. Go ahead, man. All right.
So I haven't been here soon. I was on vacation. I had a family trip planned. Literally, so we had the fast start sales. I told Don I'm going to have 2 days where I can't actually compete in it, so I need to try to get all that done in a short period of time. So anyway, Don, thanks for the nice intro. And yeah, it's funny because Don, if you ever hear Don talk, and he goes over the degrees of separation and how small the world really is. I mean, there's a perfect example of the story he just told of me and Don meeting at my wedding, right? How weird is that, right? So it's just another, example of how really small the world is, okay? So Don asked me to put a couple things together here as to, how I broke those records, right? I can tell you some really crazy stories how I did it, but I'll keep it clean here. So, I'm okay. So, what can I relate from sports to sales, right? I've been selling for, I don't know, I would say probably 10 years old, right? I'm 31 right now. So I've probably had 15 jobs throughout that whole span. I've started my own companies. I've been involved in companies. I just like to get out there and talk with people and follow the path that others have kind of put out there for me that I know are successful, okay? And that's the same thing true with sports. If you have a head coach, you listen to them. If you have a captain, you listen to them, especially when they're really successful. It makes it very easy to listen to those type of people, right? So when I apply sports to sales, I would say the number one thing that I always tell everybody is your mental state, okay? 90% of everything I did in football or sports was mental. People think, well, how can that be? You were the strongest guy in the weight room. Guess what? It was all mental. I knew I can do it, right? When I came on the football field and there was a guy that was 300 pounds, 6'5", right? Or 350 pounds, and I'm sitting there looking, okay, here I am, 5'9", 270, right, at my heaviest. Okay, if I'm looking at this guy thinking, how am I going to get around this guy, right? No, that's the wrong man. I went in there and said to myself, you know what, this guy's not going to block me, period. And I would go up to him and tell him, hey, how you doing? You're not going to block me, right? They would look at me like, whoa, this guy's crazy. I am crazy, okay? But you're not going to block me. And I had that mentality the entire game, and guess what? I beat him, okay, because I had the mentality right. Okay, if I went down to the weight room and I tried to lift weight, and I didn't have the right mental state of mind, I couldn't do the same thing I did the day before. Right? Because I had to tell myself, I can do this. Just like when Don said, what record are you going to break? I'm going to break all of them. Well, what do you mean? Well, because I said so.
For now.
Right?
For now.
For now, there you go. Now keep it up, back it up. Okay? But that's the thing. If I say I want to do it, I'm going to try everything I try to do. Or I say, right? And I like to tell people what my goals are. Because if I tell you, I'm not going to be embarrassed by not hitting it. Okay? I take a lot of pride in what I say. The second part of it will be commitment. Okay? It's easy to just say you're going to do something. Okay, I'm going to do it. Well, that's one part of it. Actually committing yourself to doing it, to waking up every day, to breathing it, to doing it, to coming to these meetings, to calling your customers, that's all part of commitment. Same thing happens in sports that is in sales. You have to commit to doing it. You have to commit a certain part of your day to make phone calls, to set up the sales. You have to set up a certain part of time to make follow-up calls. You have to do it. You have to commit yourself to what you're doing, or else you won't sell anything, whether it be Rastelli meats, knives, or anything else. You won't be able to do it unless you commit. Next one, dedication. I mean, that speaks for itself, right? I mean, how dedicated are you to what you do? I know when I played football in college, guess what? I woke up, I went to the gym, I did my schoolwork, I had to. Then I went back and watched films. Then I went to practice. Okay, I poured every part of my day into football. That's what I did, okay? I was dedicated to what I did. I was dedicated to my other team players, okay? I was dedicated to my coaches. I was dedicated to my head coach, okay? Same thing here. You have a manager, dedicate yourself to them. Dedicate yourself to Don as the head coach, okay? The founder and CEO of the company. You got to dedicate it, all right? Next one's hard work, and that speaks for itself. You have to work hard every single day. Nothing's easy, and that's for anything that we do, okay? Believe me, I just walked in my house at, I think, 5:55, and my wife has cleaned the floor up from all the food and stuff that got thrown around from the kids. I'm looking, whoa, That's hard. But guess what? She loves doing it, right? So it's another thing. Just in everything, you got to work hard, or else you're not going to enjoy the benefits of what you get. The $900 check. I'm going to go spend this, right? I'm going to enjoy it. Okay? Guess what? I worked hard to get it, so I should enjoy it, right?